Hi everyone, welcome back to my Mexican kitchen here in Switzerland. Today's recipe is super yummy, super easy, and I know you guys are going to love it. It's an apple cake with streusel, so I hope you enjoy baking it with me. The ingredients you need for your apple cake are 90 grams of softened butter, 3/4 of a cup of white sugar, 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, 2 eggs, 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of natural yogurt, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, 2½ cups of apple which has been peeled and cut into small cubes. The ingredients you need to make your streusel are 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar, I'm using muscovado sugar, 1/4 of a cup of white sugar, half a cup of flour, 1/4 of a cup of ground cinnamon, and 45 grams of cold butter cut into small pieces. Okay, so this recipe is super fast, super easy, so I suggest that you start preheating your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. And while it's heating up, we can start making our cake. The first step is we're going to whisk our butter. We're going to get it nice and fluffy and soft. Since it's already room temperature, that will be really easy and fast. Once the butter is nice and soft, you can start adding both your sugars, the brown and the white in there, and continue little by little, you add it, and you continue whisking. Once you've done that, it's for about 3 or 4 minutes, you can add your eggs one at a time and continue whisking for a couple more minutes. And then the next part would be we have to sift our dry ingredients in. So we're going to add the flour, and in here in my cup I'm going to add the baking powder, the salt, and the cinnamon, and I'm just going to sift them all together into the mixture little by little. You keep whisking everything, mixing everything. And last but not least, we're going to add our natural yogurt, and in the cup where we have the yogurt, I'm just going to add the tablespoon of vanilla in there and mix it in. And we can add that into our cake mixture. And we continue mixing until we have a nice batter. Okay, so the cake dough is done. That one we set aside for now. Before I forget, you're going to have to grease and flour your cake mold, whichever one you're going to do. I'm just gonna brush over some butter, brush it completely covered in butter, and then I'm going to add about a tablespoon of flour. I'm gonna shake it around so it completely coats the pan, and then you just shake off the excess flour. Setting this aside, now we're going to make our streusel. So what you need to do is we're going to add our sugars in here, the brown and the white sugar, the flour and the cinnamon. You're just going to whisk everything together, and you're going to add the butter. This is the important part. The butter has to be very cold, and you just chop it up into little pieces. Usually you would have to use a pastry blender. I have no clue where I left mine, so I'm going to improvise with a fork. And what you do is you just cut the butter into the dry ingredients. You're just pressing and pressing so it turns into smaller pieces. And once you feel it's integrated as best as you can, you set that aside because the next part is putting our apple streusel cake together. So what we do here is, in the already previously greased mold, we're going to pour in the batter, the cake batter, and then we're going to pour in our apples, which we chopped up into these little pieces. You don't mix the apple in, it's just on the top. So it's the batter, and then you put the apple pieces all around evenly without mixing. And last but not least, you're going to put the streusel coating on the top. Also, it doesn't get mixed, it's just coating the top. It's like a 3-layer, so no mixing, just put everything in layers. And after that's been set together, we're going to put it in the oven at the same temperature we preheated, and we're going to let it bake for 50 minutes. Once the 50 minutes are done, you're just going to do the toothpick test. So you stick a toothpick in there. If it comes out clean, it means your cake is nice and ready. And if it's still a bit wet, then you can leave it in the oven for a couple of minutes more. Okay, so the cake is done baking. I let it cool down a while and I took it out of the form. I forgot to mention when I was telling you guys about the form, about greasing it, that I'm going to be using a spring form because it's a streusel. So you're not going to flip the form over to get the cake out. This one you want the streusel on the top. So it has to be a spring form. But if you don't have one of these, no problem. Just use whatever cake form you have, and you obviously won't be able to flip it over or get the cake out like that. So what you have to do is just cut the pieces in the form and serve them like that. But otherwise, everything has a solution. And well, as you saw, this recipe is super fast. It's really yummy. And I know you guys are going to love it and enjoy it. So I hope you start baking soon. See you next time. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please watch the other videos. Just click on the links and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.